And hopefully it is going live. Things are connecting because tonight we have Homicide and Hardcover by Kate Carlisle as our book of the month. And oh my gosh, so I cannot believe I get to show this graphic. Look how far we have come in 2024 in regards to books. We have 3 left. And of the 3, you're actually going to be guest hosting again for the November book. But we only have 2 more live streams after tonight. So this is the third to last. Like, we're almost done. I can't believe it.
Yay. So exciting.
And I am very excited to welcome our returning guest hostess as I'm trying to do the little arm motions here. So Annie has been a guest host before. So this is the lovely Annie, and I have a QR code for her information right there if you want to use that with your cell phone. I also have all of her contact information down in the description box. But the lovely Annie is joining me tonight. So please introduce yourself for people who are new to the book club.
So I'm Annie McEwen. Last time I was on here, my books weren't published yet, but this year I have 2 cozy mystery books released through Gemma Halliday Publishing. The first one is Resort to Murder. And let's see, I have them here somewhere. So the first one released I'm backwards here, in March. And then the second in this series released in July. And then I'm working on the third one right now, and that's supposed to release in January, late January. So yeah, it's been a busy year. But yeah, they're based in, they're set in the Northwoods of Wisconsin. They're called the Northwoods Mystery Series, and they've done pretty well. So I've got some really good feedback. So I'm very excited.
I'm very proud of this woman. I got to say I knew her when she hits the bestseller list, people start saying she's their favorite author, be like, I knew her before she was published. I knew her before she was published. It feels so special. And I have so she's going to be joining us again for Up to No Good in November. And so you're coming back with Paula Charles, but I also have the graphic for tonight. I love this thumbnail. It's one of those, I'm very humble. I usually my perfectionist tendencies seep into everything. I'm always adjusting things to down to the millimeter. I love the thumbnail for tonight's book club.
It's very cute.
I love the photo for your profile. I love how the color spectrum. Homicide and Hardcover kind of made me realize we don't have a lot of red covered cozy mysteries. So the fact that I got to play around with that and that color spectrum gave me a lot of it gave me things to play with. So I was having a lot of fun. And all of the comments. Well, I tried to, again, if you are new to the book club, you haven't seen me, but I am very detail oriented. And everything I do, I was like, let me get my Cozy Fall Vibes mug by Emily Cromwell Designs, because I'm going, okay, we better be ready for the bookish vibes with the bookish mug. And because it's a Bibliophile Mystery series, I specifically wore my drink tea, read books, and be happy pullover. I am ready for tonight. I am so excited. And Annie has actually read the series before. And so do you want to give people a little introduction? I mean, you are a fan of this series.
I love this series. I've read all of the books in it. I've listened to them if I haven't read them. And then some of them I've reread because I love them so much. And we were talking before, the Fixer Upper series by Kate Carlisle is fantastic. But this one, I like a little bit more, just because we don't get to meet everybody, and of course in Glenn's family and all the friends and everything yet. But oh my gosh, as this series goes on, you will fall in love with her kind of crazy appearance who we meet in there. And that, she talks about being from that community in Dharma. And we get to visit that in the epilogue. But it's so good. She's a bookbinder, which I didn't even know until I started reading these books years ago that was even a thing. And now I kind of want to be one. But I think like you, my perfectionist thing would drive me insane. But she does that for a living. And she lives in San Francisco. But even though it's a big city she still has that tiny little community that she's in. So it still gives us that cozy vibe. And she has her best friend, Robin. And then she meets the dashing Derek Stone, who is my book boyfriend. And I will tell everybody about it. So it's just so good.
I'm really curious what you guys think about Derek, because I posted the question on Instagram stories. I posted it with the Instagrams. You guys can comment underneath the caption with that question. I think I posted it on Threads or Twitter, one of them, because I mean, I still call it Twitter. I know it's X, but it's Twitter, at least to me. So I'm very curious what you guys in the comments, please let me know what you think of him, because I almost feel like I want to start there, because there's a lot to the mystery, but he's kind of interwoven to the narrative. He seems like he's a very big part of the story. If you go read any of the future book blurbs, and yes, so I included this at the top of the feed because when we have a long running series, someone always asks how many books. So there are 17 books in the Bibliophile Mystery series, and and it's called The 12 Books of Christmas is the latest one. So I read the book blurb. Cover your ears for a second if you don't want to hear, but pause, mute, whatever, however you want to do for 1 second. It says she's married to Derek, so I know what happens because I read the book blurb. So, I mean, clearly you have to get used to him. But I mean, if you like Derek, you're going to be enjoying the read a little bit more probably. But clearly he's around for the long haul, and he's British. He's got the sexy accent, and she's very attracted to him. And he does sort of save the day with the mother and pizza in the end, which we'll talk about later on when we get into full spoilers. But I want to know your thoughts on Derek, and they are popping up because this is where my kind of
Hi, Donna. Sorry, I love Donna.
Comment, please. No, I was just going to say this is where my little mystery cap went on, because unlike Annie, I have not kept up to date with this series. So we had to talk about this, and I had to look up the date. So this book was published in 2009, and you guys are going to be able to figure out my age when I say this. I graduated high school in 2011, so I read this book probably a year or two after it was published. So I know you're like, oh, we figured out her age. You can go back and do the math out. I do have little lines around my eyes now. I mean, I do wear makeup to cover, but like there's a little bit of I use eye cream at night. But so I read this book when I was in high school, and I was in all of the AP classes. I was waking up at like 4 a.m. to do all my schoolwork to stay up to date with stuff. I don't know how I survived the high school years, but I read this when I was in high school, and because there weren't any more books in the series, it fell through the cracks for me. It got put to the wayside, the back burner. So it got to the point where, oh, there are 9 books in the series. Let me read all 9 so I can read the 9th book. Oh, there are 12 books in the series. When it comes time, I'll read all of them to catch up. So I had been putting off rereading this book for a very long time. So it was like reading it for the very first time. I had no memory of this book whatsoever. And that is a very long tangent and digression to get back to Derek saying he comes across, he finds Brooklyn over the dead body. Part 1. Part 2, another dead body. Guess who's right there with Brooklyn finding the dead body? Derek. So yes, I understand he had the sexy British accent. She's attracted to him. But I also had a little bit like, what's going on with Derek? So that's why I was curious if other people were kind of going, what's my cozy mystery sleuther hat telling me? So
you have to love a sassy character. She's right.
Okay, so Diva Temple, haven't finished the book yet, but I'm enjoying it so far. The MC is quite sassy, and I'm here for it. Slow start, but it's picking up. That is a very first statement, because this one, I mean, she really does sort of stand up for herself. She's almost the character you wish you could be in real life when someone cuts in front of you in the Starbucks line, like, hey, no, don't do that. She'll call them out for it. I however, would just be like, yeah, sure, have fun. Or I'll wait an extra couple minutes. But, oh, people are commenting. So did you immediately like Derek? I mean, you said he's book boyfriend material. What is it about him that you love? People in the comments seem to be enjoying him too. So I'm just curious, what about him pulled you in so quickly? Because I was a little suspicious of him at first.
I was totally, the very first time I read it, well, actually, I think I told you I listened to it first. But I was very suspicious of him at first, especially since I thought he was casing the joint at first. When she first sees him standing around, I'm like, oh, this dude is so sketchy. I look for those people anyway, just because that's my mind, and I'm married to a cop. So I've always got that going on. Anyhow, I'm always looking around like, yeah, you're up to no good. So I totally thought that. And then, yeah, I wasn't sure about him, but then, I mean, he just wormed his way into my heart. And I think, and I told you before we went live, I always picture that Henry Cavill, British handsome guy in the tuxedo, you know, he's was a commander in the Royal Navy kind of thing. And yeah, he's won me over. And then the way he treats Brooklyn through the other books, you're just like, oh, he's a good guy. But somebody mentioned Gabriel. Oh, you gotta love Gabriel too.
I mean, he did save the day. So
Yeah.
jumping ahead, it felt kind of random, and it could have been disjointed, but it makes sense once you get to the end and you have a little bit more of a grasp on things. But in the moment, you're kind of going, our Sleuthor had a gun in her face, and all of a sudden, this very attractive man kind of comes in. She spills her noodles that she's eating for lunch on her lap, destroys the new book she purchased. But there's a very attractive man who saved the day and likes to talk books. So, you know, it's all good.
In a long duster, all dressed in black. You know?
I love this. Lots of smolder. Bad boy vibes. I like this. MB Bertram. Gabriel had bad boy vibes. It's true, but it's one of those bad boy with a heart of gold. So he saved the day. He might be a little, you know, he wants to kind of buy black market books, but again, he wants to buy black market books. He's not looking for drugs. So, you know, he gets a little bit of a pass, a little bit kind of, you know. So we do have to go back for a second because this is popping up. So again, when I read this book the first time in high school, I have no memory of this book. Again, clean slate. I just had that sort of memory of the feeling. I enjoyed it. But when I first started to reread and get acclimated, and again, because I know people read across the board, I myself end up reading our monthly read probably 2 or 3 times across different mediums because I want to be in the know what you guys are going to be experiencing, and I can converse with you. And if you run into any issues, I can talk about it. So I started listening to the audio with this book, and the Derek voice was driving me absolutely batty. The narrator, it sounded, and this is going to sound so mean, and I'm so sorry if you love the narration. I don't want to spoil it for you, but to me it sounded like a really bad Sean Connery accent, like someone was doing when they were drunk for their friends, and it just they have no idea what they're doing. Like, this is what I think a British person sounds like, and I'm a little hammered, so it's not, you know, exactly quite on par with someone on BritBox, but you know, I don't know what the narrators. I'm gonna guess she's not actually British or English, so that's and the pronunciation, the way she was portraying this character, I could not do it. I had to stop listening to the audio, and then I just went back to reading, and then I had my ebook version, so I double checked everything for you guys. But with the narrator, when she did Derek, I couldn't handle her. I am very, very sorry, but her Derek everything else with her voices was fine. I loved her Brooklyn voice. I loved her Robin voice. When she had those emotional moments, she conveyed them. It was just his voice. That was literally my only complaint with the narrator, but he has a lot of dialogue. So
yeah. It was like a bad SNL sketch in a way, you know, or like a high school play. It's like, no.
Okay, so here we go. Jess loves Cozy. I agree. The narration actually truly ruined this one for me. And then Victoria, yes, to me, the narrator voice didn't work. And then yes, it sounded Irish. Okay. I'm not the only person who listened to the audio and went, okay. And then this is a very random sort of comment with this, but they started the book with music, and then she was reading over the music, and then at the very end, music came in the very last line or two, she's reading over the music, and I'm going, I don't want music in this moment. I want your voice. So that was a very little critique from me, but the music threw me off for a little bit of a loop-de-loop too. So I mean, this is one of those books where I could imagine his sexy British accent versus listening to it, because it was not a sexy British accent listening to it. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
No, you did not get that strong, you know, commander in the Royal Navy vibes, and, you know, he's working, you know, some secret whatever. Nah.
I love how many people are saying, it's almost like by bringing this up or broaching the topic, it was okay to say, okay, yeah, I'm not big on this narration. Yeah. I mean, some narrators are very talented and nail every voice spot on. There was one, the Bed and Breakfast mystery series with Kate Kingsbury, Be Our Ghost, I think is the first one. I love the narrator for that book series. I just want to, she can read everything. She can read in the phone book and I'll be happy. So, I mean, there are great narrators out there. And so hopefully books that are currently being made are also going to have wonderful narrators. And maybe there's a different narrator for the rest of the books in the series. I didn't look that up. Now I probably need to, but I'm glad people were enjoying reading the text, and that this is why we also have multiple mediums and variations for people who want to enjoy things differently. So I'm glad we had options this month. Okay. Oh yeah, I love the Harry Potter narration. And you just reminded me, I did the Agatha Christie Day celebration, and Hugh Fraser, who plays, I love him. He plays our little sidekick to Perot. So I have all my Agatha Christie stuff down here. But one of the actors in the Perot series does the narration for Agatha Christie, and he's a phenomenal person. Hugh Fraser nails it. So there are great narrators out there. I'll give you that. But I don't know if I'd place this narrator among them. Sorry. Anywho, going off a little bit, we can talk more about that if you want with the comments. Please do. Now that we're talking about comments, actually, I'm going to go back to the top because every comment tonight is going towards a giveaway entry. So the giveaway tonight is Crime and Cherry Pits by Amanda Flower. We actually read the very first book in the series, Farm to Trouble, which is the very first book in the Farm to Table series. So every comment tonight goes into the giveaway. I will randomly select a winner for this paperback cozy mystery, courtesy of Poison Pen Press. So please comment away. And I love that people are going, yes, Hugh is excellent. Thank you. Thank you for agreeing, because I love him. I love my Arthur Hastings. I love my Perot. So he could read, again, the phone book and I'd be happy. Anyway, but there are other characters in this book. And I asked that as one of the Instagram story questions. And you mentioned you love the side characters. I was very intrigued by the side characters. I love the roommates, the couple who live next door, who left the cats. I lost my mind when one of them, she was Veronica there, Vinny, she was getting a little drunk, and all of a sudden she's saying, iced tea can bring sexy back. We watched Law and Order in my household. And I just lost it. I was laughing so hard. And she goes, yeah, you can do a makeover on me. Like, she just volunteers. Yeah, you can do a makeover. I love the side characters. So
they're very funny through the whole series. They're very funny. Them and their chainsaws.
Well, that was the other thing too, right? She actually says, I cannot let their cats die. These women have chainsaws. I mean, you know what they're doing. So who are your favorite characters? I mean, you mentioned you like Gabriel, you're a Derek fan, but are there any other side characters in this series you're going, I will read them over and over again. I look for them in every book that I pick up in this series?
Her mom is out there. I mean, she's out there with all of her stuff, you know, her Mother Earth stuff or whatever she does. No offense to anybody who's into all of that, because you do you. But my gosh, I love her so much. She is the most kind-hearted. You want to squeeze her and you just want to hang out with her and be part of that family. And I absolutely adore her. And of course her dad too. He's cool. But I just want to move to Dharma and have a little shop there. I don't know what I'd have, but that I love them so much. And she's great. And then I don't think the other neighbors in this book. Is the gorgeous neighbor in this book?
No sexy neighbor as of yet. Now, okay. Right now we had the couple who also came to her rescue when her apartment was broken into. They were the first people she interacted with. Oh, she feels comfortable with them, and they were so protective of her, and I just love them so much. I was looking for it in my notes if you guys saw me looking down, because the name of their cats are Pookie and Splinters, and that made me so happy. I don't know why. I just love the name of that cat. But we also do have to acknowledge she was a terrible cat sitter, and I really worry about any cozy companions in this book series because she kept forgetting to feed them, or almost forgot to feed them. So I'm glad the cats were alive at the end of this book. So I was very worried about Pookie and Splinters with Brooklyn as their caretaker.
Yeah, Brooklyn does get better when it comes to animals later on, but she does get a neighbor. It might even be in the next book. I can't remember. That is pretty cool. She's a big surprise. She's a really big surprise, and she ends up becoming a big part of the series too. But yeah, I don't know. You just want to be part of their weird family with their names that, of all the places they were conceived.
I have to say that when she said that, because one of the sisters' name is China, it really puts things in perspective where you're going, okay. You're like, I just want to, we're going to, we didn't hear that for Cozy Mystery.
London, China, Austin, you know.
So I've pulled up the comment before because we do have to talk about her mom and her family, because at the very end, I absolutely loved her mother. I was a full convert for the mother. I was in her fan. Yes. I was in her corner. She had my heart, because this woman, first of all, she confesses to a crime because, spoiler alert, she thinks her daughter could be involved with the murder of our victim, Abraham. And so she's going, okay, I'm going to confess because, honey, you wouldn't last in jail. I've been in jail. It's fine. You wouldn't last in jail.
And that comment right there, I've been in jail.
She just like brushes it off. She's like, oh, honey, you wouldn't survive in jail. But she comes in with a pizza, and we have our murderer. We're having the big reveal moment. And she goes, don't step on the pizza, because that's what's important in the moment when confronting a murderer, not stepping on the pizza that she got specifically for her daughter, because it's her favorite kind, which is also, very cute and sweet, but we cannot step on the pizza.
No.
She just throws that out there. I mean, she believes her daughter's guilty of murder, and she's going, yeah, sure, I'll take the blame. It's fine. It's a normal thing to say and do. Okay, so other people, Jay, you loved her mom, and then Sherry, you were looking forward to the next books now. And then Marta, you love the weird family vibe. It's definitely interesting, because I have to say, yes, I understand it's a commune, but in the back of my head, it still feels like a cult. So I'm glad I like the mother and the family, but it still feels like a cult. You can tell me it's not, but the guy's name is Guru Bob. I mean, I'm just picturing like the guy in front of the cross during like that weekly church gathering with his microphone. And the fact that this guy has Rembrandts and Vermeers on his wall and he has these prized book as possessions, I'm going, you have a church for profit, don't you? You're buying, you have money coming in somehow. You are something. Something's going on here. So I have questions about Guru Bob. The family and the people they live with and their community are wonderful. I don't understand this leader aspect.
He weirds me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, through the whole thing. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just picturing him wearing flowing, colorful robes all the time.
That sounds pretty. That's not
colored robes.
I mean, that sounds about right. I just picture him as some sort of. I just think of him as a cult leader. I can't disassociate him. And when they ever talk about the fellowship and some of the terminology she uses, I'm sort of going, I'm very glad you guys are nice people and happy. I have no idea what's going on here, but I'm just going to roll with this and see what happens.
Like there should be, like there's going to be a Netflix documentary about them at some point, Yeah,
like a Hulu exclusive. Like, okay, we have behind the scenes of one of the families who survived. Something's going on behind the corner.
Right. There's something else in that wine that they make.
I mean, are we also going to talk about, is Brooklyn potentially an alcoholic? This woman really likes her wine. She's wondering if it's too early in the day for wine. When she's going out to sleuth, instead of being prepared, looking around, keeping herself on the ready, on the go, she's drinking her Irish coffee there, and she's 4 or 5 in. She can't chase after her suspect because she's, a little tipsy from running. So
I'd be dead. There's no way.
She definitely could hold her liquor too. She might not remember all of the night before.
You grow up at a winery, I guess you adapt. I don't know.
So Marta has friends in the county, and it's just part of the vibe. Okay, I just sort of am like rolling with it, like we'll see what happens with this. But if it's just the atmosphere, I can go with that. There's lots of visits to Dharma and books, wines for all.
Yep.
I definitely got you're in a cult, call your dad vibes. That's great. That is a great comment. I know they've been brought up in this. Like they can come and go as they please, but at the same time, they keep coming back.
And they all got rich off of it.
So Brooklyn, they don't actually get into this in the book, but the victim, he's her mentor. Abraham, he dies at the very beginning. The body drops pretty early in our murder mystery here, but he leaves her $6 million. They don't even get into this being a potential motive for Brooklyn as our sleuther. Are you on the suspect list? She found the body. Now there's a financial incentive. So she actually made out quite well in the end. But I do give her, she does steal a little bit of my heart, and I do appreciate her at the very end, because it turns out Abraham had a daughter he didn't really know about until later on. He didn't have time to add her into the will. She gives her half of the money and half of the estate. So Brooklyn does something very nice, but half of $6 million is still $3 million, and you can do a lot with $3 million. So I mean, whatever's going on in this commune, they're doing very well for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, they own, like they said, they bought that land. They kind of discuss it later on, how they went out there before the land was developed, or was a huge wine country area. And they all pulled their money together and bought all of this property and started growing their grapes. And they developed this winery, and it just grew and grew. They developed this town. It's now a touristy thing, and everybody's made out pretty well. And then we learn about her sister, who is it in the cookbook conspiracy, maybe one of the books, which is a really good one. We find out how bad of a cook Brooklyn is. I mean, she's terrible, so bad.
That's one of
but like her sister's a chef. Do what?
No, I was fascinated. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just saying I was fascinated with Brooklyn and her love of food. This was not a culinary cozy mystery. She's not a restaurateur, but we had a lot of food references. We had a lot of wine references. So this book, yes, it's the Bibliophile Mystery series, but they're eating while they're reading their books. So anyway, please continue.
I can get on that though. I mean, I'm all about that. They kind of hone in a little bit on the siblings at different times, but yeah, it's like her sister has this, I think it's a vegan restaurant in town, and it's super posh and popular and all this. And another one has like a wool yarn store or something. And
I remember that reference because she drove by it, and I'm going, that is a book, and that's one of the craft books. She's going to hit the cozy markers when she has that book in the series. I don't know which book that is, but that's got to be one of the settings for a future book in this. It has to be. Yeah. I refuse to believe she's not having a book set in this particular shop.
But, and I think I mentioned to you too, what I like about this series also, they go a lot of places. It's fun to kind of stay in the area, but they go to, the UK, they go to, just other different little areas, and they have stuff happen in Dharma. And, at one point, I think Brooklyn's on like a TV show that's kind of like Antiques Roadshow kind of thing. And there's a lot of fun, other little things that it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. So, and the Antiques Roadshow one, that's a fun one because
it's Antiques Roadshow.
People that like watching that. So.
I mean, I love the Antiques Roadshow. I also love Pawn Stars. Like, there are a lot of shows that, I mean, you just kind of fall into. I mean, reality TV at its finest in a way.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You do have to answer me one question. As someone who has read the series, do we have to encounter Mika again for a long time? Or is she very rarely mentioned? Because this was the character you love to hate. You're going, if you were a future victim, not going to mind because you're kind of terrible. But she's also that giant red herring because she's so awful. She cannot possibly be the killer because we are never that lucky as cozy mystery readers.
Right. We do see her again. I can't say for how long.
But not forever.
Not forever.
Okay.
Not forever. No.
Because she was
in one of my books, she wouldn't. I don't know. I'd be doing something to her real soon. I mean, my main character's childhood bully is now returning in my book 3, and I'm really wanting to do something to her. but I know I can't yet.
I just saw the comments pop up. I think I'm having a little bit of a time delay from the comments being posted to me seeing them. But you guys are talking about she was terrible. Oh God, I hate her. Mika shows up again. She was awful. Okay, now I can pull up the comments for this. So this character, we have these quotes that I absolutely love about being queens and fixing each other's crowns and women holding up other women because this is the way we're going to take over and contribute to society. This character is the embodiment of everything that is opposite of that. She was so bad. And I felt badly for Brooklyn because here's this character. She genuinely believed she tried to stab her in the hand so that she could not be her competition in the future. I mean, this woman actually physically assaulted her. And then she does it again, hitting her in the face. This woman is violent.
She slashed her tires. I mean, and then she convinces Brooklyn's mom that she hates her, that Brooklyn hates her mother, hates her own mother.
Here, I love this comment. I love this. This sums up my feelings about her. Yes. I didn't love to hate Minka. I just plain hated her. This is the comment. She was just so frustrating. Every time she had dialogue or showed up, I knew something catty or badly was going to happen for Brooklyn. And I love the fact this is one of those weird things because, again, I'm a details person. So her last name is LeBouf, but because Brooklyn gets to meet our inspectors, our detectives first, she calls her LeBeef. So LeBeef is how they refer to her whenever they interact. And after she slaps Brooklyn at some point in this narrative, she goes, and it's not LeBeef, and she shouts it. I'm going, okay, at least we got a little bit under her skin, a little something. But other than that one little win, not so much.
Yeah. What did you think of the inspectors?
So I was fascinated by, I believe her name was Lee. I think that was her.
Janice Lee.
Yeah. She was really kind of almost friendly. And I was so cute when she kept wanting to feed her or give her food, give her takeaway. She goes, yeah, I just wanted to give her some takeout. Oh, she's so skinny. I want to feed her. And then she almost had friend vibes with our leading lady, Brooklyn, our sleuther. And so I kind of appreciated the fact, yes, they interacted with her and they did bring her into the station at one point, but she got to drive in her own car and they didn't treat her badly. So even though she was on the suspect list, there was a little bit of respect and they were not terrible at their jobs. This is one of my biggest hangups when it comes to mystery novels, when the local police are just so bad at their jobs and they might as well just be sitting there eating donuts as a stereotype. I mean, I can't do that. So I appreciated that they were actively investigating. They were asking the right questions. So I liked them as the sleuthers. And I also liked her, I'm blanking on his name, but the other detective she had as her partner, he was very cute as well. He had a joke at one point that he laughed at. So he won me over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just saw this comment. So I was curious about this. I feel as if looking at the year that this book was published, we might not have been able to get away with this today when they kept mentioning Lee's weight, because I almost felt badly for her. At first, it was kind of cute, like, oh, I want to feed her and take care of her. But then it got to the point where I was going, okay, maybe she has a high metabolism. We're good. I mean, I don't really know what her personal life is, but again, the physical description, I was probably by the third or fourth time, I'm going, she's okay. Let her have her baggy coat. She's okay. I like her. I'm not worried about her physicality anymore.
He's just one of those people,
So did you, you asked the questions. I'm going to ask it back to you. Did you like the detectives? Did you like the inspectors?
Yeah, I liked them. I was going to say I'm glad you did, because especially Inspector Lee, she's going to be around a bit. So, but I liked the relationship. Like you said, it's a respectful one. They weren't buffoons, tripping over themselves. And yeah, it was, there wasn't boundaries that were crossed too much, but yet they were, they were good together. So, but yeah, I liked them.
Yeah. See, I'm seeing the comments now popping up about it. At one, you can kind of get away with it, I think, once, maybe twice, about someone being thin. But then once it becomes their main descriptor, that's when you kind of go, okay, we're gonna take a step back because we don't know if you're sick or feeling unwell. I mean, I'm gonna be personal. I'll tell you guys, I had problems with my back, so I literally couldn't stand. Like I had trouble walking. This was several years ago, and I gained weight very quickly, and that was a really sore spot. Like I had to come to terms with, yes, you gained weight. You're not size. You're not. I mean, I was a size 8 at the time. I was like, you're not a size 8 anymore. So I had to come to terms with that. So yeah, your body can change. So hopefully that's not a reoccurring thing. Maybe you can say maybe she does gain a little bit of weight. Maybe she becomes healthy. She runs a marathon. We don't know.
I honestly don't remember. I don't remember. But and then like I said, she could be sick, and at some point you think, is this something in the book? Are we supposed to be trying to pick up on something? But I don't remember anything.
I mean, honestly, usually when something's referenced like that, I almost expect it to be one of those Lifetime movie moments where it turns out, oh, she's bulimic, anorexic. We're helping her now, and we're helping integrate her into our family with healthy eating. So maybe something someday will pop up, or maybe they're at Christmas time and they have her with the fruitcake. I don't know, but we'll get her. We'll have something for her. We'll take care of her because she is a little cutie pie. But I am curious. We do have to talk about, because I do have my notes in front of me. So we have to talk about Brooklyn has been engaged 3 times, and we have one of the ex-fiancés in the book. Ian is the ex-boyfriend, ex-fiancé. And I was very surprised when she said she was engaged 3 times. I knew about Ian because we had referenced him earlier. Then all of a sudden there was a one line in there, and I realized, again, spoiler alert, cover your ears, that Derek will be the fourth fiance and or the first guy she marries, but he'll be the 4th fiance. How does she get that many men to propose to her? What is going on in Brooklyn's life? What is her secret?
And it just kind of glossed over real quick.
I was curious about that.
Yeah.
Do we get
I actually forgot about that until I reread the book. I was like, oh, yeah, how does that happen?
Who are these other 2 men? Do they come up? I was blown away by 3 times. For some reason, I'm picturing Julia Roberts in her wedding dress being driven away.
Bride.
I'm picturing her and the guy going, well, wherever she's going, she's going to be there at 10 a.m. tomorrow. I'm picturing that movie. I'm going, how was she engaged that many times?
Honestly, I don't know if anybody else remembers who've read the rest of the books. I don't remember if it's brought up again or not.
Did she keep the engagement rings? I don't know. I have so many questions about this. Who are these men? Yes, someone just mentioned, were they in the cult? Was this an arranged marriage, part of the cult commune? You don't know. I need more background on this. I had so many questions. It was just one of those sentences, but it jumped out at me. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just one of those, all of the arrows are pointing right there, and I couldn't move on. I had so many questions.
It's like that's one of those things you want to ask Kate Carlisle, like, what was this about?
So fun fact, I have an interview with her as a video. I interviewed her at BoucherCon, not this year, but last year. So I saved this because I knew this was one of our books, and I wanted to be able to have the interview be timely with our book of the month. So the interview is coming out for the very first week in October. So this month I had Angela M. Sanders, because Paranormal Cozy Mysteries with the Witchcraft Mystery series that she has. So paranormal for the Halloween season. But I almost put hers for September. And I'm going, no, we haven't read the book yet. So let's have her interview be the first week in October instead of the first week in September. So hopefully now, if you guys watch the interview, there's more context. But that's a very good thing. And I wish I had known to ask that in the interview, because I asked her a lot about Fixer Upper. But now I'm curious. I might have to follow up with her and go, yes, can you give me her backstory on this, or a little novella that you can add as a downloadable thing for your newsletter? Because I would love more information about her life at the commune when she was growing up. I need a prequel.
Because she went off to college. So, I mean, was it after Ian? Was it? I don't know. I honestly don't remember from the other books.
It just struck me. I mean, this woman, she's doing very well for herself. She has her own business. She mentioned she has 2 master's degrees, which I felt seen because I have 2 masters. So I was like, oh, someone else. She does library science and then the bookbinding. I forget the exact degree she had it in. But I was going, okay, she definitely, traveled. She's gotten out of the commune, her little cult family. So she's traveled a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, she's going to Scotland, which I was also very happy for her. I'm going, oh, you're going international. You're almost going to, like, maybe you can get to go meet Derek Stone and his family. I mean, maybe you can do a little pit stop. But thank you, fine arts degree. Thank you for knowing that Marta off the top of your head. I have it here in my notes, but there's so many of them. And I mean, I also love it when I don't have to like look at my notes to have the conversation. I love the flow of it. I mean, she makes it so easy, and he's great. I can just have a lovely chat with her, and I'm not going, oh, what is this question? So it's fine. It's in the notes somewhere. Get back to it later. But I just want more information about these characters. I'm just, maybe that's a good thing though, because they feel so fully developed and you're just so intrigued. Like you want to read the next book to find out that backstory. Maybe this is part of the writing, the marketing. I don't know, but I'm intrigued.
I read so many. I didn't read the first book right when it came out. She had a few books out, so I like binged those, and then waiting for each book was it was torture. And so I'm so excited for the next book. But I really got attached to these people. I mean, they are so real to me. It's like I want to head on out west and go visit them. I have them all pictured in my head, what they look like. They do not sound like what, especially Derek, what the narrator sounds like. But they are so real to me. I mean, I do this with series. I get so involved with them. But I think she's done a great job, fleshing them out and just making them seem real. And they do go through these arcs in the books of, growth and different big things happening in their lives. And she brings up things in the past. And I don't know, some of the books kind of interweave together and bring up different things and oh, wait a minute, I remember hearing about them in such and such book. So yeah.
This is a cute comment. Oh no, go ahead. No, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, you're good.
Meredith wrote, I thought maybe it's just she didn't want to settle. So maybe she'd get engaged, but then not have the guts to call it off when it didn't feel right. Wished I'd been that brave before. And then someone else mentioned that I'm losing some of the comments because I love it when you guys comment. If I don't see it or post it tonight, I'm definitely going to see it when I go through to convert it to giveaway entries. But I'm so blown away with this. And then, so her apartment in the community in San Francisco is cool, but I would have moved to Dharma or close to. You're not a city person, but you enjoyed the book and you're going to keep going with the series. So I think I'm intrigued by this book because we almost get like 3 different communities. In a way, we have her building community when she has her work component, then the family, and then you have the little town in San Francisco in between. There's a lot of different things to explore. And I was in San Diego before, but I didn't make it to San Francisco. And I don't know if like the restaurant she mentions is real, if some of these landmarks are real or made up. I mean, yes, we have the bridge and I understand those references, but every so often I'm going, is this a real place? If I go to this restaurant, will I meet Neil, the bartender? So her details were very well done. And so mentioning before, like the friends in that area, and she kind of nailed the vibe. You can definitely tell she knows. She's probably writing what she knows. She's getting those details. And the fact that she has so many of them really grounds the book. And I was going to ask you, because you mentioned you want to do bookbinding now. You can see all of the research and all of the actual like behind the scenes thing about sewing. And this is what this knife is for. There's a lot of stuff in here. I almost felt like I knew what bookbinding. I could do that myself now. I mean, no, I can't.
I know.
But you were in no.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody subscribes to her newsletters or not. But she has this thing called the Secret Room. But on her website too, she has a map of Brooklyn's area there in San Francisco and of San Francisco. And she's put on the map the fictitious places, like the Covington Library and I don't know if it's Baba or Baba, the place where she teaches the bookbinding stuff and all the little restaurants, but she's made a really cute little map on her newsletter and her website of all the little fake places and stuff. So it's kind of fun because she puts the real stuff and then she puts the fake stuff too of where it is. So,
but like you said, it feels so real to you. Like if you go to this place, you want to be able to walk into that restaurant. You want to walk into that store that she's describing.
Yeah, the pizza place and the ramen place and,
Although,
sure.
technically speaking, I don't think I would go back to that ramen place because it was held up at gunpoint and you almost died there. And okay, this is a very random note that I made. And it also just something, again, maybe just me, like how I am noticing this. So she's doing the restoration of the Faust book. This is what she's doing, her main project for the entire book. And she's focused on that. It's originally in German. So she wants to at some point go get the paperback copy, which she does. And she's thinking, I'm going to eat my noodles. I'm going to read my paperback. This way I'm in the know. I can read my translation. And then obviously held up at gunpoint, her noodles and her bowl go flying. The book is destroyed. And this woman who has dedicated her life to bookbinding and restoring books throws her new paperback in the trash. I was so sad for this book. It was just purchased. It was barely read. And then it went by. It went into the landfill. I was so disappointed in our Brooklyn because she just bought this book. It did not have a long life.
No.
Yes, there were noodle, and I mean, I understand. She said the book expanded and it was all, I mean, I understand. I get it. But at the same time, you're a book restorer. This is what we do.
I know.
I was disappointed.
I had it happen to me on the beach one time. The book literally expanded as I fell asleep and the tide came in. So, yeah, there was no saving. There was no drying it out. It swelled to 3 times the size. So,
You're like, I understand. I've been there.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, one time I did have something happen to a book. Thank you, my dog Max. It was his fault. He liked to eat the corner, apparently. So I'm missing a good chunk over here. I don't know how I didn't know he was doing this beforehand, but it was on the bookcase. I don't know how he got it out. It was him. He was very determined to get this book. So he had eaten the corners, and this is actually where the thumbnail image comes into play, because I took the photo that is the backdrop for the thumbnail, because I took the pages out of the book and then I turned them into a little craft project. So when you see the background for this thumbnail, and hopefully I can pull it up again. So when you see this, I took that photo of the pages that I was able to save. So I turned it into an arts and crafts project. So maybe I just expect, maybe people who think bookish like myself will be able to do something similar. Again, when you're a book lover, you want to protect the book. So my mind immediately goes to, we save and cherish, but if it can't be saved, I understand. like a moment of silence for this Faust paperback book that is fictional. I know this book is it's a fictional book getting destroyed and it's tearing out my soul.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I'm just saying, but anywho, I just looked down and one of my notes, we talked about the mother before, but my favorite moment of the mother is the chanting on the phone. So our leading lady, Brooklyn, is on the phone on the way to the police station, and the mother on the phone chanting, calming, and she just cannot keep talking. She just wants to chant. And apparently this chanting is what she does. So she knew when she was hanging up the phone, I was still going to be chanting. So if we are ever having moments like this book being destroyed, we need to channel Brooklyn's mom to chant. So, anyways.
The best part is when her mom does this kind of stuff, Brooklyn's always just like, all right, mom. Just, when she's always like, I'm going to do a whatever cleanse on you. She's like, all right.
She just goes with it.
just do it.
I'm like, I got that note. Okay, so we haven't talked about the rich family that has been hired, or who hired Brooklyn to restore this book. So I made this earlier. Annie was there with me because I was having trouble uploading. So I'm very happy I have this image to showcase, because it shows the Faust, and the original sort of gives you an idea. And yes, there is the little devil image that I inserted because it's Remember the Devil. And obviously there's a play on words there, but this is her job. She has to restore this book, and the family that hires her, what did you think of them upon first glance? We have the husband, who is German, and he almost kind of flirts with her and is a little sketchy. We have the daughter, who they compare to Paris Hilton. Then we have the wife with the Southern accent, who asks her random advice at one point. So were you suspicious of them? Did you like them? Because I almost feel like they existed on the periphery, because we're talking about the other characters. We're talking about the mom whom we loved. We're talking about the commune. I mean, aka the cult that I think of. No, this is the commune. But we have all these other communities. We have the next door neighbors. But these characters are important to the story, but they're kind of separated from the rest of it. So I'm curious if you thought they were intrigued. Like, were you intrigued by them? Were you suspicious? what did you think? Did you know what was going to happen? I'm like looking at Annie, like, tell me more.
Oh, okay. I was like, me? Are we waiting for comments?
You, both, everything.
I'm
Everyone,
always suspicious. I'm always suspicious. You know, I'm looking at you right now. Now, when we read about them arguing on, like, you know, when Brooklyn heard them arguing there in the beginning, they were on the stairs or something. I was like, who are they talking about? You know, so that made me a little, but then you didn't, I don't know, I kind of fluffed them away a little bit, but I don't know. I thought maybe the daughter was more involved, you know, being younger and I don't know, stuff with the money. I don't know. I thought maybe she would be a little more, I thought maybe she was guilty rather than the mom or even the dad.
I'm trying to keep up with the comments. Everyone's going, they were dysfunctional. They were suspicious. They were weird. They were definitely suspicious. So they definitely made it on.
Yeah, the daughter was a brat. Yeah.
I was so intrigued. So, I mean, we might be at the point where we can talk about spoilers and the whodunit. So, I mean, definitely they're probably at the top of your suspect list. We mentioned Derek. I had a little iffy thing with him at first, but I mean, I moved past that very, very quickly. But they definitely were on my radar. And the part, this is again where my little sleuthing cap goes on. I'm going, okay, the daughter is too obvious. We can't, I mean, if it's like Minka, you know, it's not going to be her. You might want it to be her. If she gets killed off, you're not going to mind. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If that were, you wouldn't mind that character going bye-bye. But you know, this is a red herring character. So you're kind of looking at the parents. It was the fact that the mother, she goes, I like her. And immediately I'm going, there's something wrong with her. Because our leading lady, our sleuther, was just kind of writing her off. And this is just my perspective. So the husband is awkward and odd, and he says some things that are very suspicious, as you guys mentioned. I'm going with that word suspicious because you guys used it. And then you have the daughter who's acting up. She didn't match the rest of them. So you knew something was wrong with her. You just didn't know what. So it wasn't an outward, okay, she's saying the wrong thing, she's doing the wrong thing. So you knew something was happening, but it was one of those, okay, you cannot end up with a daughter like this if you yourself are so kind-hearted and wonderful. Something's happening there.
Something's off, yeah.
Okay, so you guys thought
I really wanted it to be the daughter.
The daughter was your first suspect. Then, okay, Amy, the daughter was definitely too obvious. I mean, the fact that our leading lady, Brooklyn, wanted her, she's imagining her in the orange jumpsuit. She says that more than once, too. I mean, it couldn't have been her because it was too obvious. I mean, I don't know why it would have been obvious, but she was just too terrible of a person. You just knew there was something wrong over there. Right. You wanted it to be Minka. I know there are characters you want to be guilty. You want them to go away. This way you never have to encounter them on the page again. But yeah, so I mean, did you solve the mystery? I'm asking Annie, I'm asking you guys in the comments. Did you solve it? Because I almost feel as if no matter who you had as a suspect, you were not going to know the motive until it was revealed. So I think that made it much harder to solve this mystery. So I was curious how you guys felt about that. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Were you drawn in more? I mean, we had the little clues along the way. We kind of figured out, okay, there's something missing from this corner over here. Is it a note? Is it something very, specific to lead us in the right direction? And we got the little breadcrumbs. We could follow the trail, but we didn't know the actual motive for the murder until the very end. And then, can I do spoiler and say it? He was kind of incorrectly murdered. He was an innocent victim, and it's very hard to solve an innocent victim murder because clearly this Abraham, he didn't actually do anything wrong. He was very likable. Brooklyn loved him. She adored him. He left her his fortune. They worked together. He trained her. He didn't have any real enemies. And we will have to talk about that guy Enrico at some point with his fake Italian accent, even though he's from New Jersey. We're gonna have to talk about that because that I had so many questions about. But there was nothing really red flag about him. So we didn't know the murder, the motivation for it. And so I was curious what you thought about that because it was almost impossible to truly solve this one. Yes, you might have gotten the murderer correctly, but you weren't going to be 100% there knowing why she did it. So how did you feel about
it? That's just it until I'm trying to think when it exactly came together, but once it kind of hit Brooklyn, when she found the paper in the book, and then things started to come for me. And that was like, I started to put the whole family thing together, and the story of, I remember the story in the beginning of how the grandfather, what was it? This is the grandfather, the uncle, somebody we know was killed at the dinner. And I was like, okay, something's weird. So, and then I started to piece it together. But yeah, but I still thought it was maybe the husband, because he was just weird. He was just an odd duck. But sometimes that's just too obvious. So, it's those red herrings. But yeah, it took me a little bit. So
see, that's the other thing too, though.
But it was the why, right, Grace? It was the why with Abraham, because I kept thinking Abraham. She was saying about the blackmailing. It's like Abraham would have no reason. That was not his character to blackmail anybody. That's not him. He would have no reason. He was already rich. It wouldn't have gotten him anything. His whole thing is the love of the books. So
that was one of my notations. So at the very end, Brooklyn is trying to do this setup. She's going to pretend to extort $200,000. And my very first thought was, do they know you just inherited $6 million? Because if you inherited $6 million, you're not going to extort 200,000. So I was very curious if they would even buy into that as a premise. But either Abraham was very humble and didn't project wealth, or he didn't spend a lot of money. I don't really know how he was before we met him on the page. We can just sort of surmise based on Brooklyn's interactions. She didn't know he had that much money in the bank. So maybe they thought he was capable, but if you know someone is well-to-do, you're not going to be going, yeah, you're extorting money, but you have how many millions in the bank? You're not going to need this. You're not going to need $5,000 a month. That's not going to make sense. Right. But he was too nice and too humble and too kind to be that blackmail. I mean, it wasn't until we found out, even when he was dead. So we have a second body drop, probably around the 65% mark. So it's Enrico, who we have to, I mean, what is going on with this character? First of all, if you're friends with Minka, we are, as a reader, we're not going to like you because you're friends with the character we all dislike. Immediately you're getting written off. But she says she knew him before. And this man is from New Jersey, and he's pretending he doesn't speak English, and he's doing a fake Italian accent. And then at one point he even drops the accent. Then he picks it back up. So he was definitely, okay, we know something is super wrong with you. You're red flags everywhere. But we didn't know he was a blackmailer. We just knew him and Abraham didn't get along well. And quite frankly, based on the fact he's faking an Italian accent and being very peculiar, that felt like enough of a reason to cut off ties as far as I was concerned. But I didn't think past that of, what else did you do? I mean, this is terrible.
He was awful. He was terrible. I mean, you just got an ick from him from the very beginning. But like you said, anybody who's friends with Minka or whatever, ugh. And okay, this is totally off the subject. I love her whole name to begin with. I mean, don't you you don't even have to know what she looked like to have a vision in your head of how just tacky this chick looked from the beginning. I mean, don't you just picture feathers and bad makeup and just bad hair, like a whole, just like I said, just tacky, just kind of skanky looking vibe with this woman. But anyway, yes, I mean, they deserved each other. Her and Enrico just deserved each other. So
someone before mentioned that Brooklyn is sassy, and I do think that she's outspoken. She can take care of herself, but even if you are outspoken, I do think sometimes you have to take a beat to regroup when you're put on the spot or you're upset. And we had one of those moments with her, and then all of a sudden she notices lipstick smeared on the teeth, and she goes, that gave me the courage to come back at her. And I'm going, yeah, that would give you courage. Like, I found a flaw in you. Okay, I can have a comeback ready to go. But for some reason, you're having that, like, I'm like, okay, that's a detail right there. That's something.
Yes. I love it. I will say I remember when I first read it, because Brooklyn and Abraham hadn't spoke for several months, and she was worried how, to see him at the Covington Library, worried that he was going to be upset with her because, she went off on her own. And, from the back of the book, he was going to die or whatever. But I remember being so worried when I was first listening to the book the very first time. Oh, I hope they make things right with each other. I hope, he doesn't die before they repair the relationship. So that made me so happy that everything was cool between them, and they both expressed how much they loved each other, and that, everything was fine. And, so when he did pass, that there was no bad blood between them, and it was just a huge misunderstanding. So at least when he died, it was, they knew they loved each other. So.
I love that you mentioned that, because that's so true. And when Minka lied to the cops and said she had a fight with him, I was mad as the reader going, she did not. They had a wonderful moment. I was so upset. And I'm going, it's not even my alibi, my motive. I'm not a part of the story. I was mad on her behalf. I'm going, they had a wonderful I'm going, that was a great interaction. You can't take that away from them. I thought it was so sweet. And that's something that,
nasty.
Yeah. I mean, you can't diminish that moment. And he also entrusted her with his fortune, with his life's work. So even if they didn't speak for some time, it was almost like time didn't matter, because their relationship transcended that time, which is amazing. And I love that. And I'm going, oh, thank you for being such a nice character and not being the blackmailer person.
Yeah. Yeah, because that would have been terrible if they did find out that he had been black. I mean, that would have totally just changed everything that, she'd admired about him and thought about him all those years, that she had looked up to him, as this grandfather or uncle figure or whatever. But no, we find he really was a good person. So
I love that he kept the first book he taught her with too. The sentimental value and the sentimentality of it just drew me in. I'm going, that is so cute and sweet, and I love that.
I know.
So there are two comments up here. So I saw one where someone said, here it is. So Amanda reads cozies. I try not to read the back of the book, so I get to be surprised with who dies. And that's actually a really great point. I myself try and do that too. If I know an author's writing style, if someone I really trust and I know has very similar taste to myself recommends it, I will try and do that too, because it will sometimes give you spoilers and you're going, okay, that actually didn't happen until the 20% mark. And that could have been one of those, something happened moments, but it was on the back of the book to pull you in marketing PR wise. And it's one of those, I understand the purpose. I appreciate it. I know what they're doing, but summarizing an entire book into a book blurb, some of those details might not be ready to be seen yet, to be read and happened. But I wanted to ask you about that, because then I want to get into Crystal, because Tara, Crystal T. Knits here, she is on my wavelength. This is one of my notes, because I was going to actually flag this for y'all, because I actually did a keyword search. But going back to the book blurb, do you read the book blurb? Do you like book blurbs? You're an author. How do you write your book blurb and not give away too much? I think book blurbs are really intriguing. This is something so similar. And so, I mean, there's similar, like there's
hard.
It's
so hard. It is so hard to write that book blurb. I thought writing my query letter when I was trying to get an agent was hard. Then I thought the book proposal was, holy moly, the book blurb. It's tough. And then I didn't want to give away exactly who the victim is, but then sometimes you don't quite get, my publisher I love her so much. She's amazing. I love my editor, but she knows. My publisher is Gemma Halliday from Gemma Halliday Publishing, and she's a best-selling author, and she's been doing this now for years. And so I submit my stuff to her, my editor, and then they give me feedback. But on my second book, she wanted me to put in the back who the victim was, and I was kind of like, I really don't want to, because my beta readers were like, when they were reading in my critique group, the first two chapters, they were like, oh gosh, I hope this is the guy who dies. And of course I'm thinking it's not, this isn't the victim. And then she wanted me to put that in there. And I thought, but I figure she's the professional. I mean, I guess I am now, but I've just started. She knows what she's doing. But yeah, that book blurb, holy cow, when you've got to make, this much and you don't want to give too much away. And because I'm first and foremost a reader. I love to be surprised with everything. I don't want to know what I'm getting for Christmas. I don't want to know what, I love surprises. And that's how I am with my books. So yeah, it's tough.
I myself, when I read a lot of mystery novels. And so I almost feel like sometimes it takes a little bit to surprise me because I'm so familiar with the themes and the tropes and writing styles. So if you can surprise me, I want that. Like, yes, give me the rare surprise. Give me that, oh my gosh, this is who this happened with.
Right.
So one of my recent, again, I love my Acorn and BritBox. One of my recent views has been, I believe is it Shakespeare and Hathaway or Hathaway and Shakespeare Private Investigations? And there's an episode where all of a sudden it turns out the victim is the bad guy. And I was so intrigued. I kind of saw little hints along the way with this person's personality seeping through going, I don't like you. But I never thought the big reveal, what was coming. And I'm going, I love this. I was so happy that he was the bad guy. I was so happy. I mean, I'm like, this guy he committed murder and he's yelling and screaming his head off. And I was so happy in that moment going, it's you, because it was so different. I love twists and turns. If you can do a twist and turn, thank you. I mean, do it. I'm like, maybe
probably some of the best comments that I've gotten is when people have messaged me and they're like, oh my gosh, I just finished the book and I was totally shocked. That's what you want.
Like, that is the best. You're like, that is the pat on the back. That is the best thing you can say to an author. Like, I didn't solve it.
Yes. It's like, yay. Especially from somebody who's read a bajillion books. I'm like, good job.
Well, when you encounter the tropes and the themes so frequently, and I mean, it's not bad. I mean, there are always going to be books that have similarities because they're inspired by other authors. I mean, authors start out as readers and sometimes they absorb that in your writing style when they're still trying to figure it out. I mean, that's okay. It's just one of those, I love it when you can be surprised because it's not that it's rare, but when you read so frequently, it's less, it has like less of it. Like, okay, yeah, I saw that coming. Oh, I understand. Like you want that. Oh, that came out of left field. Ooh, okay. That was so not what I was expecting. But
and in this genre, you have to kind of follow a pattern in a way. It's because a lot of readers, that's what they expect and that's what they want. And if you kind of veer from it, they don't like it. And they let you know. Believe me.
Also, that actually dovetails perfectly with Crystal T. Knits and the comment that I wanted to go back to, because this was one of my notes. And when I went on Goodreads, and I actually had some of these comments in my Instagram stories, people were not happy with the swearing in this book. So again, going back to the fact it came out in 2009, maybe we're less accepting of swearing now because we always do think cozy mystery is Hallmark. But I actually went back and did a keyword search because there are F-bombs. We're not going to say that. We don't want to get YouTube censored. And we're also very Hallmarky around here. If you haven't figured that out yet, I don't swear. I don't drink. I don't swear. It's just, yeah. So there were 4 in total. And I was so surprised going, how did she get away with this for a cozy mystery? It was almost like going, would this be, it probably would have been edited out today. And I did that interview with Carleen O'Connor, and she actually said she was able to get away with swearing because she had the Irish swear words. She was able to get away with it because she almost had like a way around it because it wasn't in English, and that was how she was able to kind of get it passed and be accepted because swearing in cozies is not typically accepted. So this actually broke a little bit of the subgenre convention with the rules and regulations, because usually you can get away with one major swear and the big reveal, and it's usually the villain who says it. You very rarely have them dropping them in sporadically throughout the narrative. No, I don't think the audio did remove it. And then I did the keyword search for 2 of them. So we had two of the we had 4 of the major one with I'm not saying it again. I just like to keep it very PG around here. We're not going to get any YouTube censor marks around here for anything. YouTube will come after you. I know they will. So hush hush. I'm like, we're keeping the PG rating. So we're doing the Hallmark vibes. But I was just so surprised the fact she was able to get 4 of them in there. And then there were some other moments of, oh, okay, how did you slip that one through? I think maybe it's part of this whole spectrum that we've developed in previous conversations about, okay, we're going to the darker cozy mystery where even the book cover, it's a dark red. We're having a character, I mean, I'm going to say like the cult commune thing, that's definitely not necessarily a Hallmark vibe. You're thinking more Lifetime
Right.
HBO. So maybe from the get-go, we should be expecting this to be a little bit of a darker, cozy mystery. So I was just curious what you guys thought of, if it even popped out to you, because sometimes, again, if you don't mind the swearing, if you're just one of those people where, okay, it's just a part of the narrative. I read all sorts of mysteries, not just cozies. But if you want the cozy mystery that's super lighthearted, funny, everything is a pun, this isn't your book. But that's okay. It's still a wonderful book. But I'm just curious what you guys thought. And I'm seeing some of the comments saying you didn't even notice the swearing. So some people, it totally went right by them. Other people noticed it entirely. So, okay. I'm asking you, Annie, what did you think? You said you didn't even notice it.
I did notice it, but I pick up on that stuff now that I'm writing more. Now that I write, I notice it more. But I have also learned, and I learned this from Ellie Alexander when I was taking her class and stuff, and because she's, my mentor and everything, certain publishers allow cozies to have more swear words in them. And this was from Penguin Random House, which there's so much switching that's happened now with the big five and everything. Certain publishers will let you have it, where certain ones are like, absolutely not in cozies. Just, no. So, I mean, even she was trying to put in something and in one of her bake shop ones, and they were like, nope, can't do it. So yeah. And I mean, I don't put any in mine at all. And it's kind of a joke with my main character that she comes up with these goofy phrases, but that's in real life anyway. I mean, it's a big joke at my job that they're like, oh geez, what's she going to come up with now, instead of dropping an F-bomb. So, it's just how it is. But yeah, I mean, I did notice it, and I didn't really remember. I don't think I remember it as much in the later books, but I was kind of surprised with this one. You're right. I was like, I did a search too. I did, because I read it on my ebook. I was like,
I don't think I've ever actually typed those words into the search bar for my Kindle before. Like, I've never done that in my Kindle app before.
I haven't either. I'm surprised it didn't go, are you sure?
I mean, I want to look up. I mentioned this during the Agatha Christie YouTube live stream, Cozy Mystery Day celebration. I'm pretty sure I'm on a watch list somewhere because I'm working on the Cozy Mystery with the poisons and murder. And I mean, I've Googled certain things where I'm sure someone's going, okay, something's happening in this person's brain. Not sure what. So like I've Googled questionable things and like looked up like how much blood can you lose before you pass out. Like I've done the very questionable Google searches, but I've never done searches for swear words in a cozy mystery before. So this was a new one. So
oh yeah, us writers, we always joke that we're on watch list. My husband the other day, I had put some books on hold at the library, and he's like, hey, I'm running into town. I'll pick those up for you. Well, they were on crime scenes. And one was like someone was like how murders are committed or how to get away with murder or something like that. And as he's checking them out, the lady's just looking at him and she's like, oh, okay, these are, what? And he goes, they're for my wife. She goes,
like, is it for you or for you?
Exactly. And he goes, she's a writer. And she goes, okay. And he goes, yeah, I'm a little scared.
It's true, though.
He should be.
I mean, I just saw this comment pop up. There's swearing on streaming networks, and that's absolutely true. I mean, swearing is a part of narratives. I mean, there are some mystery thrillers where every page has something. It's just the fact that this is a cozy mystery. That's why that's where the question mark comes into play, because I think one of the go-tos is, would this be on Hallmark, or is this something you can do on Hallmark? Like that's always one of those things we revert back to. Not every cozy mystery is Hallmark appropriate. This is where, yes, you can have it be PG-13 somewhere else. It's just the type of subgenre where it will jump out at you more because you might not be expecting it. So yeah, I mean, I was watching Murders in Only Murders in the Building, And yeah, they swear in that show all the time. I mean, it's not that I'm swearing. I'm just saying for cozy mysteries, that's when you're always going, oh, intriguing. What happened over here?
Yeah. Yeah.
But oh my gosh, I'm losing the comments. But you're so cute. I'm glad I'm not the only person who's going, okay, this might be a little questionable. I mean, I'm sure, again, the watch list, but there's some, I mean, when you start looking up different types of poison, like what can you ingest and not kill you until 2 hours later? Okay. Yeah. I'm very sure there's some things where like, yeah, we should be worried about your family and friends, shouldn't we?
A couple weeks ago, I looked up at how hard can you shake an adult before you cause brain damage.
What's the answer? I'm curious now. What's the answer?
I didn't find a good one. I'm like, and of course, I was bringing up like shaken baby stuff, which I'm like, I don't even want to see that because that's just, it's horrific. But I'm like, no, I want an adult. I need an adult. I mean, I was like, I don't even want to hit this dark web stuff, but yeah, I did not find a good answer. So I had to go to work because I'm an x-ray tech. I went to work and I was asking some of the doctors. They, again, were looking at me like,
what type of question? I mentioned this during that conversation that I had. I really need to at some point go to a local police station to ask them these questions. But I know the second I do, they're going to be wanting to keep me on some sort of 72-hour hold watch list. So I better not have any plans that weekend. And I better
be fingerprinting you, taking your picture.
Yeah, make sure you have some makeup on, the hair's ready to go. I mean, also, you're gonna have to. I'm gonna be like, yes, I have a book club and everything. You can verify it. Oh, she's playing the long game. She wants an alibi. No, that's no. I'm doing this because I love you guys and I love cozy mysteries. But I'm sure a very jaded police officer, that old town, sort of HBO vibe, going, she's been doing this. This is why. No, but anyway. Yes, so
Amanda reads cozies. She's an x-ray tech too.
Woohoo! But the Fixer Upper Mysteries are also Kate Carlisle. Jewel was the star for 3 movies on Hallmark. I love those movie adaptations, and I'm fascinated by the fact that they adapted book 2 as their movie 1. So it's intriguing. If you go read the book versus watching the movie, you might have a little bit of fun going, oh, that's different. That's new. So I also highly recommend them. They're a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I saw that comment pop up. I was like, anyway. I have the notes. Oh, more x-ray techs. I'm like, I'm glad that you guys find each other. You're x-ray techs who love cozy mysteries. Very specific demographic. But if there is something about the book, questions for Annie, if there's something you guys want to ask, please type them in the comments because clearly, I mean, this is a book club. You guys voted on the book. You guys have been posting about the book. If there's something you want to discuss, please comment because we want to make sure we address exactly what you're hoping to hear. And if you have a comment or, something about the book that you want to share, please do. I just wanted to look down at my notes for a second because I just feel like they're so much fun. I don't even have to look down and be like, oh, what's this then? I'm going back to someone when they said she was sassy. I love the random little throwaway lines. Like this is where my heart lives. So men were good for one thing, killing spiders. Little throwaway lines.
I know. I love it.
Oh, okay. So do you want to talk about Gabriel again briefly and say why you love him, or if you what it is, if you can be spoiler free for future books, but that we can draw him in? Are we going to get more of him down the line?
Yeah. I'll be spoiler free, but he's so mysterious, and you wonder, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Yeah, and he's always in their lives. Just say this: he's always in their lives. He's involved somehow. He's involved in Dharma, and I just love him. I just love him so much. And I was never into the bad boys. I mean, I married a cop. I mean, he's about the best good guy there is, I mean, I married we are 2 nerds that found each other. So, I mean, I never dated a bad boy, but Gabriel's a bad boy that I probably could go for. So yeah, I love him. I mean, he and Derek are so opposite, but yet they're opposites.
Well, that's the question. Derek is your book boyfriend, but it sounds like Gabriel might be your book husband.
Or maybe it's the other way around. Gabriel's my book boyfriend, but Derek would be my book husband.
I love how much you love them.
I love them so much. I do.
I love how I just sort of picture those heart emojis like popping up by your head as a little.
Yes.
So I just saw. So I posted the poll. So I just got the results posted. So 57% gave this book 4 stars, 27% 5 stars, 7, 3, and 7 for 2 or 1. So it looks like a majority of people really enjoyed this book, which I'm very happy about. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry for those who said the 1 or 2 or 3. I'm sorry it wasn't your favorite. Hopefully our next book is, or you enjoyed one of our previous books. But I am curious if people are going to be reading the next one in the series. I am always trying to make sure I'm organizing the buddy reads and everything, how you guys are looking forward to it. If there's something in, if this is something you're like, yes, we want a book 2 conversation for Chatting Cozy's podcast, make sure you discuss book 2. I mean, are you going to be reading the rest? Clearly Annie has read it. I mean, she's now reread book 1. So clearly we have one fan here, but I'm curious if people in the comments are going to be picking up book 2 or not. And now I'm seeing
people are talking about Sully in Jen McKinley's Library Lover series. You gotta love Sully too. Love him.
I know. I'm seeing the comments where I'm going, oh, yes. I mean, Sully was great. I have to say, though, I was very upset when there was a breakup period between our leading lady and Sully. I was mad on Sully's behalf.
I was mad.
I was not a fan for those 2 or 3 books. I was a very unhappy reader. I'm sorry, Jen McKinley and people who love those books, but when they were broken up, I'm such a Team Sully person that I was so devastated on his behalf. I couldn't enjoy those books.
No, I was very upset. And we've talked about we don't like the whole love triangle business. Yeah,
I'm like, I feel badly saying that. I'm like, I'm not trying to be bashing Jen McKinley in any way, shape, or form. She's a very talented writer, but it's one of those when you love a character so much and something bad happens to them, around them, you want to protect them and wrap them in love. And I just wanted to wrap Sully in a literary blanket of love. So I'm very glad that he got elevated again back to actual boyfriend, future, love. I don't want to get into the spoilers for that series, but yes, I love Sully. I'm so Sully, it hurt to read some of those books. It looks like a lot of people will be reading. I like the comment that says you're not going to be listening to it on audio. I think that is hysterical. And then I did have one note. So Robin, the best friend, is Brooklyn going to be getting a makeover at some point in time? Because Robin really wants to take her shopping. She does not like her pajamas. She does not like her certain shoes. So are we going to have a makeover in Brooklyn's future? I mean, you can actually answer that because I am kind of curious. Like, are we ever going to have sort of a movie montage moment of going to the store, trying on different outfits?
I don't think so. Brooklyn loves her Birkenstocks, and I can say from experience when I'm not at work and I'm just here writing, your girl's wearing her pajama pants and a big old comfy t-shirt. I'm like, so, I mean, why does Brooklyn need to wear that when she's binding her books? Be comfy. So, but when she does have to go to some events, she can kick it up. So
I love that people are agreeing with me in the comments going, we understand what you're talking about. It's one of those, you can love a series and love a couple and I still find something you go, if this were me, this isn't how I would have written it, or as a reader, this isn't my favorite. So I'm glad we're all on the same page. We love this couple. We love this series. With a little but, a little caveat, a little asterisk. I like that we're all on the same page. I appreciate that you guys understand what I'm talking about too. Yes. I love that you understand the context and you're on my side. So thank you. I'm kind of going, I wish I had sound effects to do something like hallelujah, praise. Oh my gosh, yes. Team comfort over fashion. And I lived in my Uggs during the summer. I cannot comment on anything anymore. I no longer have the right. Oh my goodness. And so I will just say I did make a notation that Gabriel popped up at the 80% mark. So he wasn't in the book very long, but he was very memorable. So that was one of my little last notations that I wanted to point out. And also going back to a very random thing that I loved, our villain, our murderer, the husband called the police on her.
Yes.
Even her husband wanted to turn her in. So can we just talk about that? Derek was picking up Brooklyn's mother, which is adorable, and they stopped to get her favorite pizza, which is so sweet. I love that him and the mother bonded. I mean, that is amazing, and I love it. But the reason the police made it there was not because of Derek and the mother, even though they intervened in that big moment. It was because the husband called 911. What do you think about the murderer's husband being the actual whistleblower?
Does that tell you how awful that woman is? I mean, the women in that family are just horrendous. You know, how much do you have to hate your wife? You know, I mean, Brooklyn's mom was going to go to jail to protect her daughter. And this guy hated his wife so much. I don't think he did it out of a sense of duty. I think he just couldn't stand her that much. You know, that's how horrible she is.
Like, sending her to jail is cheaper than divorcing her.
Yeah. I mean, when you listen to how awful this woman was, describing how she you know, the whole thing with, you know, what happened in the past and how the wife was right for poisoning the husband and everything. I mean, yes, this woman was a monster. So yeah, I think he just couldn't wait to get rid of her. You're right. It was better to send her to jail than divorce her, because she'd probably take everything. But yeah.
I was blown away by that, because I always have this moment, and I am curious how you feel about this. Our sleuther did want to confront the bad guy. She had that moment of, I mean, she also was kind of wrong. She thought it was going to be the husband and not the wife. So she was a little bit, you know, she was almost there, but not quite. It was like close, but no cigar, horseshoes. We're playing the game for proximity here, but she wanted to make the bad guy, the murderer, uncomfortable. That was one of her goals. She wanted to put them off kilter. She wanted to kind of get a little bit of revenge. And I was curious how you felt about that, because she didn't just call the police and turn them in. And I have a dog looking at me now. Hi, Daisy May. Hi. Maybe she'll join us and say hello. But I was just curious how you felt about her wanting to confront the killer. You didn't mind?
She's tough. I mean, you know, when you grow up in a commune / cult, I guess you learn some stuff. I don't know.
The husband was the real MVP.
Yes,
I love Jay's thought. Poor man must have been so happy to be rid of her. And then Crystal T Knits, going to jail is an easy divorce. I mean, yes, easy. You want to come say hi? Come say hi. Come. I don't know if she's gonna let me pick her up to show you guys her cuteness. I mean, she must have escaped because she was being babysat, but there's a dog here who wants to say hello and wish you guys well.
You guys might hear mine in a minute. My husband's leaving to go pick up pizza for us. And they're going to be mad. So
I was like, she's already posted on the Instagram. I'll share some more photos of her if she doesn't let me pick her up. She's doing this thing where, like, she wants me to know she's around, so she's going back and forth. So we'll see if this is allowed. But if you guys have any other questions, comments, things you wanted to ask, things you wanted to talk about when it comes to this book, please add them now. I love that you just type "don't step on the pizza." You're like, that should just be there and hang out. Because you mentioned going to get pizza. We're talking about pizza from the book. Perfect. But I will mention while I'm thinking of it. So I showed you guys. I mean, I cannot believe this is where we're at.
Wow.
So I get to do this. I get to do the check mark. Are you ready for it?
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
Yay.
It's so satisfying, but also so sad that we only have 2 more YouTube live stream discussions in 2024, because December is a buddy read for 12 Days of Cozies. So next month it is Steeped to Death. I have I Like Old Books 1213. Colleen, she's going to be the guest host, and then Annie is back for November. So hopefully you enjoyed her being a part of the book club tonight, because she'll be discussing yet another book, Up to No Gouda, and I'm just so excited. I cannot believe that this is where we're at. I mean, I've been working on 12 Days of Cozies. That is coming up. But because of that, there's only 2 more live streams. So mark your calendars, add this book to your TBR, because, I mean, we're adding Steep to Death, Up to No Gouda, and then we have the buddy read. So I got to hit the little check mark. It's so, how? But that actually is another reminder to get your votes in for the 2025 TBR. Some of these polls are very close. I mean, we're talking less than a single percentage difference. I shared the voting form through the email newsletter, on the Instagram, on the Twitter, across platforms. I can share it again at the end of the live stream because I have to go and look it up. But I'm going to be announcing the 2025 winners in the October email newsletter. So if you're not already part of the email newsletter family, join it because you will be the first to know. And then I will be sharing the news on Instagram with the images. So I'll be announcing 4 at a time. So people on Instagram are going to be in the know just a little bit later. You guys in the email newsletter family always get the news first. So I'm going to be closing the votes at the very end of the month. So you have until the last day of September. That's when I'm going to close it. So midnight, last day of September, aka 12:01 for October 1st. The polls are closed. The winners are in. Daisy May hopefully will be happy. She's over there sniffing something. So get your last minute votes in. I believe there are 200 something, almost 200 votes right now. So this is where it's so funny. Like, yes, there are a number of votes, but every vote still matters because some of those polls are extremely close. I don't want to share the results because at the very end, because I always feel badly when a book is not as high as someone's hoping. If it's their favorite book and it only has 10% vote, I always feel badly for that little book, and then I go buy a copy because I want to make sure it feels loved. But so there's some polls that have full-on winners already happening, and I can see, okay, this one's pulled ahead of the pack. So I've seen those ones, and again, I feel bad for the books that are in last place with that one, so I always go buy an extra copy or two, ebook and audiobook, as one does who loves books. But we have a few clear winners, but there's still a few ties in the making, so please vote. Please do. And I'm just looking down to see. So I do have the thumbnails and the YouTube links for the October and November books. So please add Annie's future live stream for November to your watch list. Hit that bell. However it is you remember live streams, they're there for you. So hopefully you can take advantage of that. But I'm going to pull
our buddy Paula will be with us too.
And I'm pulling up Annie's image one more time with her cute, beautiful profile photo.
Oh, thank you.
Like, trying to make sure I hit all of the talking points because I want to make sure I answer all of your questions. I know it's so impressive when I see all of those people voting. Yes, when I saw the over 200 votes, I'm always blown away when people participate in things that I organize or offer. And it's so amazing. And I'm so appreciative. So thank you for people who've been voting and taking part. And thank you to everyone who's joined us tonight. I'm always so honored you're taking time to discuss cozy mysteries and read a book that you guys makes me so happy.
Thank you so much for having me. Everybody's been so awesome. So it's been fun to be back.
Do you have any other things you want to add about this book, about the series, where people can find you for your books? Because I know someone asked, when is your next book coming out? Because
so I am on Instagram at Annie McEwen Author. On Facebook at Annie McEwen Author. My webpage is Annie McEwen Author. There is another Annie McEwen, but she's Annie R. McEwen. So you'll see my face on all this stuff. And then I'm also part of a Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group. We had to make it private so we didn't have all these weird accounts joining us, but it's called Murder They Write. I'm there with 9 other amazing cozy mystery authors like Paula Charles, or as you know, Jana Rollins, Christina Romerl, KB Jackson, Rosalie Spielman. Let's see who else. Jackie Layton, Ruth Hartman, Sydney Lee, Rose Kerr, Kara Lacey, whose book just came out. First book came out today. Who else did I miss? I'm trying to think if I missed anything else. But anyway, they are all awesome. We all started off at Blue Ridge Literary Agency together. And unfortunately, our agent passed away. So that agency isn't anymore. But we all have remained such good friends. And we have so much fun on that Facebook group. So if you guys want to ever come on there and see what we're talking about, we post every day. But and all my books are available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all that stuff. And my next book, the 3rd book, which I haven't announced it officially online, but it is called Snow Time to Die. It's book 3. It's going to be coming out January or early February. So we haven't picked an exact date yet, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
And now I need to go sit at the computer and get my word count.
Oh gosh. Word counts.
I'm very happy that Annie was able to take time away from her current work in progress to join us tonight to reread this book. She's coming back for November. And I did want to take a moment to mention one of my notes for y'all, because I know when it comes to, I always turn these YouTube live streams into podcast episodes and people watch them later on. So I will just mention this because this is one of my ongoing projects that I need to revisit and revamp. And I'm going to be including the link in the email newsletter again. Again, it's very important that you read this email newsletter. I'm not trying to pitch it. I'm just saying there's a lot of information and a lot of important stuff in there. So the link for this is going to be shared for the first time in probably a few months. But I want to update the Sleuther page over on thecozymysterybookclub.com. So the website, thecozymysterybookclub.com, one of the headers, there's a link so that I can feature all of the sleuthers in the book club. And I haven't updated it in some time. So some people have changed their usernames. Some people haven't been as active. Other people who are very active probably didn't even know that this existed until this moment in time. So I am going to be sending that page. So it is totally optional. You can, if you just want to participate in comments, I know some people just like to watch and don't even comment during the night, although you can enter a giveaway. So commenting does have its perks in addition to being part of the book club. But even if you just want to watch, that's totally fine. This is optional. You do not have to submit your profile photo, your name, anything. I just thought it'd be really nice to feature some people and be able to showcase, okay, you can find other sleuthers who are part of the book club, and here's their Instagram handle if you want to connect. So it was just going to be another way for people to be a part of the community. So I'm going to share that link again in the email newsletter. So if you'd like to be featured on the website, you will have that chance. And then it will take me probably a solid month or two to get it ready, but it will be done. I will be working on that. So please be on the lookout for that, and think about what your favorite cozy mystery is, because that's one of the questions. You can go see what the profiles currently look like, because the same questions are going to be posed again. So you can start thinking about what was the first cozy mystery you read, and what is the book you would like to recommend to future cozy mystery readers. And then I'll be showing that on your profile for the Cozy Mystery Book Club page. So all sorts of stuff happening. But I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that, because again, there's a lot of information in those email newsletters. So please keep scrolling. At the end, there are extras, but there's also going to be additional information and links for you to enjoy along the way. But thank you guys so much for joining tonight. Thank you to Annie for taking time to discuss Homicide and Hardcover by Kate Carlisle. I have my interview with Kate going live on YouTube the very first Tuesday of October. I am really hoping that you guys enjoy it. She was lovely to chat with. I really hope you guys enjoy the YouTube interview, which will then be saved as a podcast episode for the Chatting Cozies podcast. My interview with Angela M. Sanders is now a podcast episode. I have been updating the podcast link. So every Tuesday this month, there's been a brand new podcast episode for the Cozy Mystery Book Club podcast. So all of these live streams are now podcast episodes. So I am almost done with this. So I think there are only, I want to say a handful left, but they are currently on the books to be scheduled for for Tuesdays. So Tuesdays are a very important day for sleuthers. So hopefully you guys are enjoying all the sleuthing fun and coziness. But thank you for joining. Please stay safe, kind, and creative. And I really hope you're able to join us next month. First, I want to show the photo. This way you guys know. So next month, it is Steep to Death. I can do the little check mark. So Steep to Death is the last Tuesday of the month every month, 7 p.m. EST. And then on that following November, you'll be seeing this lovely lady joined again with Paula Charles. We did this previously. They were previous guest hosts for Tag to Death. They were so good and so great then. They're coming back for another round. And I also had to pull this up. You both did a killer plot. So you guys have been a part of multiple book club live stream. So again, I'm very glad she was able to join us tonight, and will be joining us again for the final live stream for 2024. So it's going to be a big deal. We're going to have to do something special for that. Going to have to do something to commemorate the final live stream. But thank you to Annie for joining, and thank you guys for commenting. So please have a wonderful night. And as always, happy reading, writing, and sleuthing. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.